Amazon Web Services, or AWS, is one of the most important tech companies today. From small startups to giant corporations, businesses around the world rely on AWS to power their websites, apps, and so much more. But how did AWS come to be? Let's dive into the story of Amazon Web Services, from its humble beginnings to becoming a leader in cloud computing. Chapter 1: The Birth of AWS. Amazon, the company we all know for its online marketplace, started AWS in the early 2000s. Back then, Amazon was dealing with massive growth, and they needed a way to handle all the data and services they were using. Instead of constantly building new infrastructure, Amazon's engineers thought, what if we build a platform that others can use too? In 2006, Amazon Web Services was officially launched. It offered companies a way to rent computing power, storage, and databases over the internet instead of buying their own servers. This idea of cloud computing allowed businesses to save money and scale up as needed without having to invest in expensive hardware. Music, AWS started with just a few basic services. One of the first was Amazon S3, Simple Storage Service, which let users store and retrieve any amount of data at any time from anywhere. This was a big deal for businesses that needed a place to keep large amounts of data without worrying about running out of space. Another early service was Amazon EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud, which allowed companies to rent virtual servers to run their applications. Instead of buying physical servers, they could simply pay for what they used, which was a game changer for startups and small businesses. They could now launch websites, apps, and services quickly without needing a large budget for hardware. Why AWS took off. What made AWS so successful? One key reason was its pay-as-you-go model. Companies only paid for the services they used, which made it much more affordable compared to traditional infrastructure costs. Startups loved it because they could launch products quickly without worrying about the high cost of buying servers. Another reason was scalability. As a company grew, AWS allowed them to easily add more computing power and storage without changing anything in their system. It was flexible, reliable, and businesses of all sizes could benefit from it. Soon, big names like Netflix, Airbnb, and even NASA started using AWS to power their operations. It became clear that AWS wasn't just a temporary trend, it was the future of computing. Chapter 4: Growing into a Giant. As the years went on, AWS didn't stop at just a few services. They rapidly expanded their offerings. AWS now provides hundreds of services across different areas, including databases, machine learning, artificial intelligence, analytics, security, and much more. Some of the most popular services today include Amazon RDS, Relational Database Service, for managing databases; AWS Lambda, which allows developers to run code without having to manage servers at all; Amazon Redshift, a service for data warehousing and big data analytics. AWS also built a global infrastructure with data centers spread across the world. This means companies can serve their customers faster by hosting their data and applications closer to them. Chapter 5: Competition and Challenges. AWS wasn't the only company in the cloud game for long. Microsoft launched Azure in 2010, and Google followed with Google Cloud Platform. Both companies are major competitors in the cloud computing market today. However, AWS has managed to stay ahead because it was the first to enter the market and has continued to innovate. One of the biggest challenges for AWS has been security. With so much data being stored in the cloud, companies need to know their information is safe. AWS has invested heavily in security measures to ensure customer data is protected. They've also developed a vast partner ecosystem, allowing companies to customize their solutions with third-party software and services. Chapter 6: The Impact of AWS on Business. AWS has had a massive impact on the way businesses operate. Before cloud computing, companies had to invest heavily in their own IT infrastructure. They had to buy servers, maintain them, and ensure they had enough capacity to handle peak traffic. This was costly and inefficient, especially for small businesses. AWS changed that by making cloud computing accessible to everyone. Startups no longer needed huge budgets to compete with larger companies. They could rent the resources they needed when they needed them and scale up or down depending on their demand. In many ways, AWS has leveled the playing field, allowing smaller businesses to thrive and innovate alongside large corporations. It's made launching a tech business more affordable and achievable. Chapter 7: AWS in the Future. Today, AWS is the largest cloud computing platform in the world with millions of customers. It powers everything from streaming services like Netflix to online games like e-commerce platforms and even government services. As AWS continues to grow, they're investing in emerging technologies like machine learning, artificial intelligence, and edge computing. They're also expanding their focus on sustainability, with a goal to power all their data centers with 100% renewable energy by 2025. The future of AWS looks bright as they continue to lead innovation in the cloud computing space. With more businesses and individuals relying on the cloud every day, AWS will play a crucial role in shaping the future of technology. Conclusion: the story of Amazon Web Services is a story of innovation, flexibility, and game-changing technology. What started as a way for Amazon to solve its own problems has turned into a platform that powers some of the biggest companies in the world. AWS has revolutionized how businesses use technology, and its impact is likely to grow even further as cloud computing becomes more central to our everyday lives.